So I got this question from a subscriber, Justin. He says, a lot of the direct response ads I see are for things that are essentially unbranded. The selling comes from the emotion of the prospect rather than brand equity. I get that, but here's my question. Can the principles of direct response be applied to branded products? What are tactics for that? Why don't you see it done very often? Thank you. And the reality is that, I think you're missing it. Now, there are certainly plenty of brands that don't use direct response at all. But let me take somebody like McDonald's. Now, McDonald's, you may think that they spend a ton of money in branded advertising, and they've spent a ton of money in branded advertising. And yeah, that's true. But also, when you look at the average advertising section of a newspaper and they're sent out to your mailbox on a regular basis, there are often coupon sheets for McDonald's. And each of those coupons is actually keyed. There's specifically like a code for what that coupon is. And when that coupon gets entered into the checkout at McDonald's, they know exactly which coupons generated what response. That's one example. There are countless other examples of different brands using different types of response mechanisms to measure response. Many ads that are for different branded products and branded stores, they include some kind of response device. They're usually fairly invisible, and the same brands may spend a ton of money on just image advertising to keep their brand's top of mind awareness, but they are also doing direct response type advertising. The difference is the branded ads may actually, you may just get an impression or get entertained or whatever for these different from these different image ads, right? But as soon as they ask for a response, they are doing a form of direct response. Another great example, a bit controversial, but also an absolutely great example of this is GoDaddy's Super Bowl ads. Now, I've been critical of Super Bowl ads for a long time, basically ever since I discovered direct response, but GoDaddy did a great job with their Super Bowl ads of starting a sequence, and they would start the ad during the Super Bowl. So it would be a 30-second or a 60-second spot during the Super Bowl. And then they would say, to see the rest, go to GoDaddy.com. And it was always like titillating, basically. It was a titillating ad. And what they did was, as soon as you landed on GoDaddy, they knew, okay, we spent this much money on this particular Super Bowl ad and it aired at this time, and here was the spike in traffic that we saw. And then you would see the rest of the video, which was far less titillating and far more about, hey, you need a website for your business, GoDaddy offers websites. And then they could actually track those viewers that spiked at that time, or those visitors that spiked at that time, back to the Super Bowl expenditure. And I read an analysis from GoDaddy's founder that those Super Bowl ads were incredibly profitable. And that's a type of advertising that is often not done for profit at all. It's done for advertising awards and attention and entertainment and all of that. So there are plenty of brands out there that are doing direct response. They just might be doing it in a slightly different way than you're familiar with. So they're not necessarily writing a sales letter or a VSL script or something like that. They're doing it differently. Now, this goes back to David Ogilvy, and it goes back before David Ogilvy. I mean, David Ogilvy talked about how his time with the direct response people, with the mail order people, was completely formative of his entire career in advertising, both as a copywriter and then building his own agency, Ogilvy and Mather, to one of the world's largest ad agencies, that if it wasn't for the direct response, he wouldn't be nearly as good of a brand copywriter. And that's because he always thought in terms of, okay, but is this going to generate response? Even if it's not going to be tracked, even if it's not going to be measured, it's always about the response. And so when you talk about this, like, can the principles of direct response be applied to branded products? Absolutely. Absolutely. What is branding? So branding, of course, there's this idea of branding being your logo and branding being all of that. But really, a better definition of branding that I forget exactly where I landed on this definition from, but it is that a brand is the total experience and expected experience of the consumer when interacting with your product or service. And so they have an experience, and that can come through advertising. They have an expected experience, and that can come through advertising. But also, even more importantly, that's going to come through interaction with your product. That's going to come through a customer experience. And so oftentimes, like the first customer experience is going to be driven by something that pushes response. But the brand is going to be is really going to be established in that first transaction. The brand is going to be established in the actual customer experience. And so what you may, probably a better distinction for this question, can image advertisers also use direct response? And the answer is yes. You can put a call to action in your ad, and you can find a way to track that. Online, of course, everything is so much easier to track. It happens automatically. Offline of tracking is different and has to be much more intentional. You have to choose specific phone numbers. You have to choose specific calls to action. You have to choose specific offers, and those things. Those are the principles. And if you're asking for techniques and tactics, really the big difference is if you want to do direct response for a product that has a logo and has a name and has a brand, then what you need to do is you put tracking. You put tracking in place, and you ask for action. You ask for action, you put tracking in place. Now, there's all sorts of different tactics that you can get into, everything from writing a ugly long form sales letter or video sales letter with just text on the screen. And that's a tactic of direct response, best known for direct response. And you could certainly sell branded products that way. But on the other end of that spectrum, you can have something that's well designed and that looks very consistent with an image ad that has some kind of tracking mechanism, some kind of response mechanism built in. And then there's all sorts of stuff in the middle. And then the question becomes, like, what works for your offer? What works for your product? What works for your service? And so you just put out ads, and they may feature the brand of your product, or they may feature copy and sales multiplied, the skill of selling multiplied through media. They may include all of these different elements. The question is, are you going to ask for a response, or are you not going to ask for a response? And typically what brand people will find is that the more that they try direct response, the more that they realize that it's not actually the brand that's doing a lot of the selling. And the more positioning that they can do and selling on the benefits of the product and giving the person a reason to respond now and asking them to take action, like all of the classic direct response strategies and techniques, like those are what really drives sales if you're actually just measuring response. And branding can be great because when somebody recognizes the brand, they bring in that past experience of the product, of the service. They bring in that past experience, and they bring in their expected experience based on having some interaction with that brand in the past. But ultimately, what it comes down to is getting them to take action now and giving them a reason why they need to take action now. So I hope that this has added some context, some understanding here. I would love it if you'd leave a comment below. Let me know on a scale of 1 to 10 how valuable you found this and why. Like what your big takeaways are, what your action items are, as well as any questions that you have lingering as a response to this. Also, click that like button before you go so you get more content like this delivered to you, and so the magical algorithms of the internet know to share it with more people like you who would find it valuable. You can certainly share it with friends directly, and subscribe before you go here. Also, you can go to breakthroughmarketingsecrets.com, get my daily emails Monday through Friday covering marketing, copywriting, business building, selling, and more. Also, one more thing, I'll make sure to include a very important link below to all of my marketing and copywriting training. If you are really trying to become a master of direct response and generating business results with your advertising, even just a 1-month subscription to that catalog and going through and finding whatever is most stimulating to you could be an incredible investment in your future. That's at BTMS Insider, short for Breakthrough Marketing Secrets Insiders. So all those links are in the description below. Thanks for watching. This has been a video issue of Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. My name is Roy Furr, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next video issue. See you soon. Bye.